Good evening. The meeting of the Monroe Township Board of Education will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, Mr. Gorski?
Certainly. Mrs. Arminio.
I am here.
Mrs. DeMeo.
Here.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Here.
Mrs. Lang. Mr. Masters.
Here.
Mr. Pelori.
Here.
Mr. Ryback.
Here.
Mrs. Siegel.
Here.
Mr. Tefano.
Here.
And Mr. Rutsky.
Here.
Madam Board President, you have a quorum present this evening.
Thank you.
In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted December 13th, 2019, at all schools, the Home News Tribune, Cranberry Press, and filed with the clerk of the municipality.
Thank you. At this time, we will have board approval for the minutes of the Public Board of Education meeting of October 16, 2019.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Ryback, second by Mr. Tefano. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Or recuse? Okay, none. Approval of the minutes for the closed session meeting of October 16, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. DeMeo, Mr. Ryback, again, comments or questions or additions or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain or recuse? Okay, at this time, we would normally go to our student board members' reports, but they are not here this evening because I believe they are participating in a chorus concert. So we will go right to our presentations. We have a few of them on our agenda this evening, and we will start with an attorney presentation, feasibility study, litigation in pursuit of increased state aid, and I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Pelori.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the Board of Ed. I didn't realize that I was up first. Thank you very much, and good to see a lot of people at the Board of Ed meeting, and I hope you're going to stay through the meeting. It's my delight to really introduce Dustin Glass from Wiener Law Group. Dustin got his master's from Rutgers University, and he passed his bar in 2012. And he's been practicing law for the last 8 years or so, and primarily in the area of education. And he's helping a lot of school districts in terms of evaluating the options to get more funding. So, Dustin?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having us here and for allowing us to perform the study for the board. Our firm was retained by the district to represent it in connection with determining the feasibility of litigation to pursue increased state aid. In furtherance of that, we performed a feasibility study, the findings of which are set forth in a separate report in detail. What I'm presenting to you is a one-page summary of the report. Please keep in mind that despite what we were requested to do, any of the estimates in the report and what I'm about to tell you are speculative. We cannot guarantee success or a particular outcome. The short is that Monroe does not have a good faith claim for increased state aid based on an as-applied challenge to the School Funding Reform Act, otherwise known as the SFRA, which is how New Jersey funds the education system. And also an as-applied challenge means that the selected legislation, in this case the SFRA, would be invalid as applied to the litigation or as applied to the particular litigant, in this case the district, based on the particular facts of the case. So in such a challenge, and as set forth in the report, the district is not a viable candidate for and is recommended against joining the existing litigation. And Mr. Pelori had mentioned that we currently represent other districts in litigation against the state, various entities of the state for increased state aid. So Monroe is not a viable candidate for that litigation because the district cannot fully articulate the requisite hardships or deprivations of a constitutional dimension needed to assert a viable claim for increased state aid. The district, in response to questions from us, noted that state aid is not keeping up with the effects of student enrollment growth, which is increased by at least 200 students, the requirements of new staff, which is the addition of at least 30 full-time positions, salary and benefit costs, facilities repairs and upgrades as outlined in the long-range facilities plans, special education costs, transportation costs, and more. The district has also had to eliminate certain courtesy busing and will have larger class sizes in the middle school and high school due to facilities constraints. Nevertheless, the district has self-identified as one of the beneficiaries under the recent amendments to the SFRA, which some of you may know as S2, which were the amendments in July of 2018. So due to the fact that Monroe self-identifies as one of the beneficiaries and that it has not experienced any material staffing impacts due to funding, due to the fact that it is in fact growing every year, the district has actually added between 20 and 30 additional full-time staff every year. Accordingly, it is unlikely that the district, despite state aid falling short of what it may need to continue to operate as is, it is unlikely that the district has a viable as-applied challenge to the as a viable as-applied challenge against the state for increased state aid. At this time, that is the summary, and I cannot go into any further detail or will not be taking questions due to the attorney-client privilege. So thank you very much for the time. I thank the board for its consideration, for allowing us to perform the study, and thank you very much.
Thank you for your help in this matter.
You're very
We
welcome.
appreciate whatever you've done to help us.
You're very welcome. We thank you for the opportunity again.
Okay.
Madam President, I don't want to ask him a question, but are we going to we have a copy of this summary?
We should be getting a copy. Have we gotten the summary yet?
The copy of the full report and the summary is available in Mary Smith's office, and any board member that wants to come in and see it is welcome to.
And is that open to open public records?
No.
No.
It's a attorney-client document between the Board of Education and the Wiener Law Group.
Okay. I mean, I don't see what privilege, I mean, it's a recommendation. It tells us that we essentially have no standing for, right? So, I mean, he said it. I'm
Right.
not saying anything he didn't say. So I don't understand why it can't be exposed to the public, but that's fine.
He said it was attorney-client privilege.
I
He
understand,
literally
but
said that he's the lawyer.
I know, but I don't, sometimes.
Well, and that's what our
attorney-client
attorney had indicated also, and that's
All
why
right,
it's
I'll
in
speak
her
to Mary
office.
about that. Attorney-client privilege is a very broad and encompassing statement.
We usually try to follow attorney advice. At this time, we will go to recognition of students and staff, and I will turn this over to Dr. Alvick.
Okay, Ms. Kalapanowicz, Mr. Gorski, Dr. Lehman, we go up front. Good evening. This is always a great Board of Education meeting for us because we have such a great turnout because we really want to celebrate all of the great things that are happening in our district. So I'd like to start this evening. One of the things that we've been doing in the district for a while is recognizing our champions of education. And by that we mean any of our staff members, any of our community members that really have gone above and beyond the call of duty for our district. So this evening, I am very excited for us to present a Champion of Education Award for one of our teachers and one of our former students. The teacher and the former student actually ran the New York City Marathon recently and finished in under 4 hours. So I would like to ask Mr. Joe Rooney and Mr. Mikey Nichols to come and join us. Congratulations. We have several of our music staff and our music groups here this evening for their work through the NJMEA. So, Mr. Maralda?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and happy holidays. My name is Zach Maralda, and I am the supervisor for the Department for the Applied Arts and Careers Technology. And I'm very grateful and excited to be here tonight. So I would like to thank Dr. Alvik and Ms. Kalapanowicz for the opportunity to recognize some individual accomplishments, but also some accomplishments from groups of our students. First, I'd like to talk about the staff, and then I'll invite the teachers up to talk about their students. We've recently been notified that 4 staff members, a collection of both young non-tenured teachers and veteran teachers, have been selected from across the state of New Jersey to present on topics related to their curriculum and their success of executing their programs at the New Jersey Music Educators Association State Conference, which services the entire state of New Jersey. And this year, we had 4 staff members from Monroe selected to present on behalf of the district, but also to help professional development for teachers throughout the state of New Jersey. So it's a very, very nice accomplishment, and I would like to start by recognizing them, and then I'll actually turn it over to them because it's no surprise that it's their ensembles that have been selected to also perform at this prestigious event. First, I would like to introduce and call up Ms. Lisa Costantino and Ms. Nina Schmetterer, who are 2 chorus teachers at the Monroe Township Middle School. Ms. Costantino also teaches general music at the Oak Tree School, and they will be presenting in the spring on their topic is Partnerships Across the Globe from New Jersey to India, Celebrating Music. And a very unique story. Both these teachers put together a grant through multiple sources of funding and invited a music teacher from India over to the United States to work with us and our students. And then likewise, over the past summer, they traveled to India and learned from their schools and have been able to take everything back to Monroe Township in order to better service our students. So much so that they've been published in magazines, and they will also be presenting about their experience to other educators who will most likely be mimicking their practice. So congratulations to Ms. Costantino and Ms. Schmetterer. Stay there, ladies. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Ms. Rebecca Palmer. Ms. Palmer's in the back. She is our band director at Monroe Township Middle School. She is in her 3rd year. She's also our district trumpet specialist. Ms. Palmer has been invited to present on her expertise on the trumpet, and the name of her presentation is Paving the Way for Young Trumpeters. She also, she also presented this past summer at the National Conference in Miami for the ITG, which is the International Trumpets Guild. So congratulations, Ms. Palmer. And last, but certainly not least, Mr. Snyder, Mr. Yale Snyder, our district percussion specialist. He is also the Woodland band director. Mr. Snyder is no stranger to presentations. He's presented at state and national conferences before. His percussion ensemble is amongst the best in the nation, as evidenced by our successes here in Monroe. And Mr. Snyder, along with many of his colleagues, will be leading a presentation on Instant Percussion Ensemble, which is, I believe, the second in a series of presentations that you've been giving over the past few years. Second. So congratulations to Mr. Snyder. So we're very lucky to have such reputable staff here in Monroe, but most importantly, the whole point of all this is that our staff is now able to service our students at a high level. So what I'm going to do now is actually hand it over to Mr. Snyder, who's going to talk a little bit about the accomplishments of his percussion symphony.
Good evening. Our Monroe Township Middle School Percussion Symphony has performed at many conferences, but this year is a little special because this is the first time that the NJMEA conference is in Atlantic City, and it has moved after about 25 years, and it's in the same venue that the All-Eastern Conference was in a couple years ago, which the same group played and performed at. So we had sent in an audition tape, and through all the ensembles in the state, we are the only middle school percussion ensemble that will be performing at this state conference in February. So I'm very proud of the students and all their hard work. And we would like to call them up. Many of them are here. This is 7th and 8th graders. If I can get the paper. I'd like to call up from 7th grade, Eric Crowley. Rayon Bora. Preston Mazigla. Arav Narl. Go. Unat Chatwal. Vihan Dave. Amar Dillon. Adia Jaswal. Siri Copacetti. Abhishek Madesh. Grace Mandy. Abhishek Nadapali. Anika Palori. Michael Brewster. Aditi Rigi. Ashayu Sakar. Tanvi Shah. Vagisan Sundram. And Arjun Yadella. And this is our 7th grade and 8th grade Monroe Township Middle School Percussion Symphony. Great job, guys. Great job.
Hi, I'm Michael Brewster, and I'm here with my two peers, Eric Crowley and Rayon Bora, and we would like to thank some important people.
We would like to thank Mr. Morado. He is a very good supporter, not just for the percussion programs, but also for all of the art programs. We would like to give him a great big round of applause.
We would also like to thank the whole MTMS staff, including our fabulous Falcon principal, Mrs. Stanley, and our 4 amazing vice principals for giving us the opportunity for the Percussion Symphony Club and for for arranging with guidance our school ensembles. We would also like to thank custodian and security for always being there. Yeah.
And last but not least, we would like to thank our director, Mr. Snyder. He is a great supporter of us, he challenges us, and he provides great opportunities for us to push us to beyond the limits of expectation. Thank you.
Anybody taking a picture?
Thank you, guys. Good job.
Next, I would like to call up Ms. Nina Schmetterer. Ms. Schmetterer is the choral director at the Monroe Township Middle School. She's been there for quite some time, and she has built one of the more elite middle school programs. As such, we've had several national qualifiers and various events, but tonight we're going to talk about some of the latest achievements from the chamber singers at the middle school. So I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Schmetterer. She's going to sing for us as well.
We have our entire chamber singers was invited based on their performances last year to perform at the state as well. And so we are going to be awarding these students a certificate for their performance at states. And then we also have 10 students who are performing at the OAKE National Conference Choir, which is going to be in March in Portland, Oregon. And these students will be flying out in a few short months and performing there. So they're working hard, needless to say. And so these students are Jake Darashevitz, he's here, I saw him. Oh, here we go. Sahej Chada. Mikhail Rizvi. Kaylee McNutt. Inia Natarajan. Aditya Panamatsa. Nivriti Balaji. Amy Gonzalez. Suhani Javeri. Abba Pokar. Parthivi Chauhan. Didi Udam. Manya Vij. Dia Singh. The most musical last name. Amar Dillon. Sanvi Shingare. And then these next 10 students are the ones who are not only in chamber sings, but they're also performing at the OAKE National Choir. And this is Lindsay Fennell. Pranisha Gorty. Kennedy Christensen. Oishi Goswami. Marut Patel. Gurjap Kohli. Emmanuel Max Joy. Ria Singh. Sahil Gandhi. And Suraj Gandhi. And that is OAKE and the Chamber Singers.
We have just one more student recognition group that we'd like to identify tonight. And now that I got the thumbs up sign from Ms. Alexander in the back, we know that one of our students is done singing at the chorus concert, so we were shuffling things up a bit to make time. This past summer, we had a little bittersweet moment in our department when Mr. Alfred Hadinger accepted an administrative job in North Plainfield, and we had to transition into a new marching band director very, very late in the game. And we were very fortunate to not have missed a beat along the way. As such, we've had 2 students receive very special recognition from our marching band, and I would like to invite our new marching band director and our high school band director and district low brass specialist, Ms. Alexander, to come up and talk about the final 2 students we'll be recognizing from our department this evening.
Those 2 students should come forward at this moment. Thank you very much. As Ms. Meralda said, my name's Megan Alexander. Very pleased to be here and to be able to recognize these 2 hardworking students tonight. The first one, his main instrument is the tenor saxophone, which he plays in wind ensemble, in marching band, in jazz band, and the reason I'm mentioning that is because he actually did this accomplishment I'm about to mention on a secondary instrument, the mellophone. So not only is he dedicated on one instrument, but 2. So I'm recognizing these 2 students for the Macy's All-American High School Marching Band, which they participated in on Thanksgiving Day. You may have seen it on TV. They had to do 3 full days of rehearsal. They learned the entire routine in 3 days. They had to wake up at 2 a.m. in the freezing cold. They were waiting outside. They had a lot of things to deal with, but they said they had a fantastic time and they can't wait to apply to do it again. So the first student I'd like to recognize is Dominic Dikchik. And the second student is not only a very talented piccolo player, she is also a very talented singer. And as you can see, she's in the middle of the lovely chorus concert that's going on next door in the Performing Arts Center. So I'd like to recognize Caitlin Bazaki.
Okay, so switching gears a little bit, we have 3 fall sports teams that we'd like to recognize for their outstanding seasons. Mr. Byer?
Good evening, happy holidays. Dr. Alvick called me up, said, Greg, we want to expand this a little bit to some of our sub-varsity teams and recognize them. I said, boy, you picked a really good season to do this because we do have 2 undefeated teams. You can clap about that. And we did have our JV girls soccer team win a GMC championship, so that's pretty impressive. The first team that I am going to introduce is the girls cross-country team from the middle school. They are the 6th, yep. Let's hear it. Come on, you can hear it. I believe they are the 6th team in school history to go undefeated. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Coach Gary Snyder, Coach Katie Elias. Coach McKinnon couldn't make it. She's at the doctor's right now. And we do have Miss Winna, our athletic coordinator at the middle school here also. They're going to say a few words about the team and then introduce the athletes.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name is Gary Snyder. This is Coach Katie Elias. Coach Kim McKinnon is our 3rd coach. She could not make it tonight, unfortunately. But I want to thank everyone, the board members, for recognizing these student athletes. Not only our team, but the other teams with their success this year at their undefeated seasons. As far as our year, we've been coaching together for 3 years now. Personally, I've been coaching 13 years. And although we've had some very competitive seasons, some tremendous runners, we've never been able to break through and get that elusive undefeated label or title, if you will. And this team was a special group of girls. They were really dedicated, hardworking. They wanted it. You know, there were several meets that were just turning points for us. You know, the Crossroads, South Brunswick, the dreaded South Brunswick. I never beat them. In 13 years, we have never beat them. This year was the first year, which we were so proud. It was such a special moment. I know Sayreville, the Sayreville meet, we actually tied. Down to points, it came down to a tie. We had to go to a tie break where, fortunately, Monroe was next in line, so we got the win there. But again, what a tremendous group of girls. We can't take that much credit. I haven't put my running shoes on in years, obviously, but these guys really did a great job, and I can't say enough about them. So I'm going to read off their names, if you can just help me here. You show it, and please come up. Guys, hold your applause. I know there's 33. I don't know if they're all here, but just hold your applause till the end, please, okay? Dewani Banu. Mr. Byer, if you can just help us out here. Anna Cintron. We'll figure this out. Maya Davis. Nevada Deepak. Nevada. Amelia Gowda. Okay, I'm just going to keep going here. Johanna James. Aditi Kamath. Varsha Kushnakum. Madison Roberts. Don't be embarrassed. Suhani Shah. Richa Shah. Annika Tannen. Jocelyn Bassey. Trisha Belther. Sharvi Bathu. Arushi Chintakaya. Ashika Chintaparthi. Yashvi Desai. Utika Deshpande. Radha Gate. Ahilya Goyal. Lily Gravina. Adia Jaiswal. Madeline Lallier. Allison Lascalzo. Simone Mehta. Anoki Patel. Misha Patel. Ella Schroff. Alexandra Sims. Dia Singh. Mia Terranova. And Ashley Vitaco. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2019 undefeated girls cross-country team. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, girls.
Let's hear it one more time for the girls cross-country team, undefeated. We've got a lot of perfect people around here tonight, and next I'm going to introduce Coach Mark DeBellis and Coach George Myers, who led our freshman football team to their first undefeated season in school history. Coach Myers?
Okay, so I'm not the best at public speaking, so I'm just going to read something. So my name is George Myers. I'm coaches of your 2019 undefeated Red Division champs. First off, I want to thank everyone for having us tonight. I know you're busy people here, and it's a real honor for you guys taking out the time to have us. Before I get into talking about the season, first thing I really need to do is thank one specific person. It's the guy standing next to me, my co-coach, Mark DeBellis. I've known Coach for 12 years now, which is kind of crazy to me because it really shows how fast time can go. Coincidentally enough, I first met Coach back in 2007 when I was a freshman playing for Monroe. So I think it's pretty cool that now we have the chance to coach the freshmen together. It really shows how things can kind of come full circle. When I first started playing football, I never thought it would end up playing such a big role in my life. I think it's a real testament to not only Coach DeBellis, but all the amazing coaches I had when I was here as a player. The coaches I had here played such a huge role in shaping and making me the person I am today. They were supportive and instilled a lot of values and life lessons that I've taken with me throughout life. Because of the amazing experiences I had as a student and an athlete when I was here, when I graduated from high school, I knew that I wanted to come back and have that same impact someday. I went to college with the goal of becoming a phys ed teacher and dreamed of one day coming back to Monroe as both a teacher and a coach. I feel extremely honored that I have the opportunity to impact these young men every single day on the field as their coach, and I hope someday I'll be able to impact a lot more Monroe students in the gym and classroom as a teacher for a long time. So thank you, Coach DeBellis, for not only being an amazing coach on the field, but more importantly, an amazing person, mentor, and friend. So on to the season. Coaching any sport, it's always going to have your up and downs. So, and this year was no different. One of our biggest downs coming first day of camp. First day, our quarterback, Christian Updale, dislocates his elbow, and we found out he was going to be out the season. So if you know anything about football, quarterback's a pretty important person on the field. So me and Coach were talking to each other and like, where's the season going to go? Hopefully we can come out with a couple wins. We never really thought this is where it was going to go. So our team was kind of at a crossroad, and our kids could have done what a lot of people do, and they could have did the easy thing. They could have complained, they could have made excuses, and they could have given up on the season right there before we even started. But clearly that was not an option in any of their heads. They came to every practice with the goal of working as hard as possible to accomplish their goals. It didn't matter if it was 100 degrees and we were stuck inside, or if it was pouring rain and we were outside. Not a complaint. They found the positive in everything we were doing, starting from the first day of summer till the last game. They always picked each other up and had a positive mindset. Yes, we had talented players on this team, but that was not the reason we did so well this year. We had a great season because of the heart, the work ethic, and the relentless effort that these young men had all season from start to finish. If I could have one message for my players that are here today, it would be to approach all of life, whether it's sports, work, school, doesn't matter, treat everything the way you treated this season, with a positive mindset, with relentless effort, and most importantly, with heart. If you do that, you guys have bright futures ahead of you, and you will accomplish great things in life. So thank you to everyone that made this season so special. I could not have asked for a better group of young men to coach. Freshmen, on my ready, give me 2 hits, clap, and a woo. Ready? Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Coach DeBellis. Coach Myers basically said it all. I love all these guys. I hope you guys know that. And the great thing about being a coach and a teacher is We preach to these boys that through hard work, sacrifice, and discipline, you can accomplish anything in life, and you guys certainly did that this season. I'm proud of you guys, and I love you guys. So here's the roster. This is the team. R.A. Solansky. Is that here? Abi Solansky. Some of the players aren't here, so I apologize. Adam Ali. Aiden Boyle. Where is he? Aiden Lane, who's not here. He just completed basketball practice. Aiden Salcido. Alex Moses. Andrew Sharples. Anthony Mount. Austin Miller, who just completed wrestling practice. Ben Bousserer. Chris Jobs. Chris Guzzo. Mr. Christian Updale. Dallas Nagy. Edwin Joseph. Erjan. Gio Tefano. John Douglas. Joe Martinelli. Giovanni Verrera. Justin Kozar. Big Kenny Pechko. Kyle Kazanovich. Louis Presida. Nick Stump. Peter Kostrovina. Come on, Pete. Preston Gregory. Mr. Quarterback, Riley. Where is he? There he is. Ryan Singh. Sam Ellman. Tejban Singh. Trevor Wallace. Varun Magadum. Vito Demetrio. Zach Malanga. And Sean Jimenez. 2019 undefeated Red Division champs.
Okay, one more time for this team. Good job, guys.
Good jobs. Good job.
And last but not least, I'd like to introduce to you Coach Christian Jessup, who led our girls JV soccer team to a GMC tournament final victory. Coach Jessup.
You guys ready? You guys ready? All right. So I gave my good speech at the banquet, so I'll keep it short for these ladies tonight. But they gave me a couple checklists of what to say. They said, remind them that I love you guys. So they are really, it was an amazing group to have. It was an amazing group to work with. I had been a volunteer coach with the varsity level. To come down and work with this crew, it was awesome. And they really deserve being recognized tonight. So thank you guys for coming tonight to recognize them. And then the second checklist was give a brief talk about the season. We lost East Brunswick twice. Besides that, only one other loss. So it was a 14-3 season. The girls scored over 50 goals, all right, big goal differential. And we go to the finals, and we got to play East Brunswick again. And they had a little nervous kind of thing, but it was a complete turnaround. They played amazing that day. It was so exciting for me to kind of stand back and just get to witness them just really come together as a team. And it's really important that you guys recognize that and celebrate them tonight. So, ladies, awesome, awesome job, all right? All right, we got Ayla. Should I do last name? Ayla Caron. Brooke Marchese. Victoria Roca. Marissa Roberts. Sanya Cotter. Christina. Liv. Livia. Last row. No, I was going to do it. Marissa Forliso. Yoey Jones. Teresa Chichi. Michelle Toto. Amelia Arts. Juliana Makowitz. And Carly Winfo.
Here, one more time for our girls JV soccer team.
So congratulations to all of our staff and students for an amazing beginning of the year, and I look forward to more of these as the year continues.
So as everyone can see today, we had a room full of staff and students that represent Monroe to the utmost excitement that we can have in sports and music here. We're very proud of everybody that we have given awards to tonight, and we look forward to doing this over and over and over again during the year. So at this time, we will be giving out, or we will have the Monroe Education Foundation Grant Awards, and I will turn it over to Dr. Alvick.
Thank you. So every year, the Monroe Education Foundation offers grants to our teachers for some of the innovative programs that they would like to try out in their classrooms. So this evening, Mr. Todd Edelman, who's the president of the MEF, is here to hand out for the award recipients. Do you want to do that first?
It's up to you.
Okay. So the total of our awards this year from the MEF is $17,501.
Give it to the finance guy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very nice.
There's an easel right behind you.
All right, get started. All right, the first grant we're giving out tonight is going to be for the third annual Future Business Leaders of America, the meeting alumni, and that's for Deanna Dale. Next one is going to be for the American Revolution Traveling Trunk, and that's for Radhika Patel. All right, moving on. Karaoke for reading fluency and comprehension, Lauren Staub. We're batting 1,000. All right, the next one is Talking Sticks, A Global Percussion Journey, and that's for Yale Snyder. Next one is Math in Motion, Melissa Gallazin. Next one is Reading Flexibility Seating, and that's Nicole McCauley. All right, next one is Mindfulness Matters at Barkley Brook, Brittany Ragusa and Erin Mahoney. I'll let my assistant Elizabeth give the Penguins on Parade. Okay, next one of my favorites every year, Penguins on Parade, Lisa McHugh, Michelle Giaquinto, and Sarah Richards. Ms. Mahoney's going to grab all those too. Thank you, Ms. Mahoney. And our last grant for this evening, very important one, it is for the Monroe Township Strings Initiative. It's going to be for the Arts Department, and Zachary Mordola is going to, I'm sorry, Megan Alexander, Gina Viagra.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Edelman and the Monroe Ed Foundation. So at this time, that's right.
Okay, I'd just like to present a resolution. So it's recommended that the Monroe Township Board of Education formally accept the teacher grant awards in the amount of $17,501 from the Monroe Township Education Foundation. Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrator Board Secretary are hereby authorized and directed to take all necessary steps to implement this action by the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Arminio, Mr. Tufano, any comments or questions?
Just thank you very much
Okay.
to everybody who supported that. Thank you very much. It's important to the children.
Roll call then, Mr. Gorski?
Mr. Masters? Yes. Mrs. DeMayo?
Yes.
Mrs. Arminio?
Yes.
Mrs. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Ryback?
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky?
Yes.
Mr. Pelori?
Yes.
Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
And Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Madam Board President, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. So at this time, I'm going to turn the floor to Mr. Gorski for the presentation of the 2018-2019 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report.
Thank you, Mrs. Koloponowicz. At this time, I would like to introduce to the board and the members of the public the independent school auditor from the firm of Samuel Klein & Company, Mr. Gerald Stankiewicz, who's going to present his findings from the audit performed on the district's financial statements and procedures.
He forgot his book.
Rather than having the back to the public, maybe you can sit here.
Sure.
Go get his book.
Mr. Stankiewicz, if you wouldn't mind, you could sit next to Mr. Pelori, that you have a better field of view.
That's where he was going to go first.
This is where you want to go first, right?
You have a microphone.
Okay. Good evening, Jerry Stankiewicz. I have to push the button?
No, just pull it closer.
Pull it closer.
Pull it closer.
Oh, okay. I'm here tonight to present the annual independent auditor's report, which consists of two documents. But first, I want to indicate to the board that we are an independent certified public accounting firm. We specialize in municipalities, boards of education, and other government entities, and we are independent with respect to the records that are presented to us by the finance department of this district. We are answerable to the board, one of the few appointments it actually is, I believe, and we're here tonight to present the audit, and I have good news in the area of the audit, but I do want to point a few things out. First of all, there are two documents that you have. The thicker of the two is the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, which is a rather large document that consists of a lot of financial information and verbiage regarding the operation of the district for the year ended June 30th of 2019. Everything inside this document is actually that of representations of the board. The only item within this document that belongs to me, my firm, is the independent auditor's opinion. And to get to the chase, our opinion was that the financial statements as presented, okay, are fairly presented in regards to the financial position of the district as of June 30th. Now, that's now known as what's called an unmodified opinion. Years ago, it was a clean opinion, a qualified opinion, but now the lords of the profession have deemed it to be an unmodified opinion, which is a good thing, okay? If there wasn't an unmodified opinion, there would be probably a different meeting held than a public forum like this. So the other document is actually my representation to the board. You'll see our firm letterhead is on the bottom because it's our document. On the thicker of the two, it's not because it's your document. And the bigger of the two documents was actually a joint venture between us, our secretaries, your finance office, in terms of putting all the data into what's called a reportable form. So the other document, the thinner of the two, discusses the operation of the finance office. Now, this also indicates that there are no findings. There are no findings that require the board to enact what's called a corrective action plan, okay? But I want to discuss how we got there, okay? We come in, we usually start our audit in May or June. And again, an audit is really a sample. We sample everything. We sample expenditures, we sample payroll, we sample revenues, we sample tuition contracts, transportation, a whole big area of sampling that we do. The key thing with regards to what we do, though, is we check things. We want to make sure everything is proper. It is properly presented. You have a lot of good people in a lot of key positions that all contributed towards getting to the point where we have an unmodified opinion as well as no recommendations. Just to review, though, first of all, to give everyone a comfort level, in no matter what anyone does or says in this world, cash is still king. And I'm happy to say that your cash reconciliations and bank reconciliations are tied to the penny monthly, okay, between Mike and Laura and the rest of the group, Diana, in that whole office there, and that's most important. Secondly, with regards to expenditures, and again, it doesn't have to be fancy auditing. Expenditures, four major things. All disbursements, expenditures are properly documented, charged to the correct line item, charged to the correct fiscal year, and they're in compliance with the public school contracts law. Simple. Payroll, everyone is paid in accordance with their authorized. If there's any extra pay, it's properly documented and properly authorized. Payroll taxes are paid timely, which is critical. The IRS doesn't care what kind of an entity you are. If you pay late, you're going to get penalized, and you have a heck of a fight fighting the penalty. We have not had that problem here. And the other area that we look at is the revenues. Now, your biggest revenue, obviously, is tax levy and some state aid, as I understand. Those are easy to audit. We also do an extensive amount of work in the area of your food service operation and your child care and Falcon Care operation. You have a $3 million operation for food service, but I will say that it is monitored quite closely by the food service director, Nancy Mitrzak, which gives us a very comfortable feeling as well. The two child care funds that you operate, again, we spent a little extra time in there in the last 2 years looking through the software, looking through the registrations, All that information we found to be properly documented and properly compensated. We spend a lot of time looking at your ASSA, which is your application for state school aid. We verify the enrollment counts, the attendance counts, the DRTS, which is the district reported transported students, which virtually the whole district is. We look at your IEPs. We make sure there is a proper, that if there's whatever there was, 1,200, there's 1,200. And the people over at that department are very cooperative, I would like to say. As everyone is that we were able to touch or talk to, they all were very cooperative, and they all wanted to know if they were doing a good job or not, and we confirmed all that. So, student activity funds, you have a couple funds that do have a little bit of heavy action, but however, they're not that big compared to the overall operation. So those, we do our normal audit on that, but they are pre-audited by the finance department in advance. I don't know that anyone wants a problem in that to slip through to the level that it hits us, because then we're obligated to disclose. So that I know is closely monitored, I believe on a quarterly basis, by Laura Allen, who I might add as your chief, I call her your chief financial officer. The records that we get presented from her, the general ledgers, the budget reports, the revenue reports, all that information, all actually ties to the penny. And it's kind of amazing, considering this is a significantly large operation here. But, you know, I mean, that has been the standard here for many years, that, you know, you have to perform and things have to be in order and lined up properly. We've had that good experience with this district, okay? And having a person like her who's highly qualified is extremely helpful in doing our audit. And every other person in that room, I call it in the room, the payable people, the payroll people, the bank people, all very good, all do a nice job. And again, it all contributes towards an unmodified audit. What else? I do want to point out, the thicker of the document has a whole lot of information in it, okay? And it talks about information relative to Monroe Township, statistical information, financial information. It's useful, obviously, if you're ultimately going to be ended up going for a bond referendum. Believe it or not, people on Wall Street read this stuff, okay? And it has to be accurate. The other thing within here is, in the notes, it discusses things like pension obligation, health benefits obligation, your bond indebtedness. It talks about the proper accounting procedures that you're required to follow, which you do, okay? We found that the software that you have here is highly user-friendly, and everything's presented in a readable fashion, okay? But there's a lot of information that's contained in there that would probably put an average person to sleep. I do want to indicate to the members of the board, the rest of the board, we did have, prior to issuing the audit, we had an exit conference with the business administrator, the assistant superintendent as well, to discuss the audit prior to it being released, okay? And then, I believe a week or two ago, we had a rather lengthy meeting with the finance and business operations, I believe that's the name of the committee, to discuss the audit in detail. Okay, so there has been discussions prior to this, and we went through in quite detail the information in this report. I do want to point out, though, on Exhibit C1, which is page 104, you have a fund balance there, but the bulk of your fund balance that you have, if you turn the book sideways, there you go, is pretty much spoken for. $170,000 is encumbrances, $5 million is set aside for the 1920 budget, $3 million is obligated for the 2021 budget. Capital reserve is $746,000, and your 2% allowable that you're allowed to keep, I call it the ceiling of what you're allowed to keep, is $2.2 million, okay? So there's various components. It's not 100% free and clear because the bulk of it is already spoken for, whether it's be through the current year's budget or automatically in next year's budget, okay? The other thing I just want to point out, if you go to exhibit towards the front, your exhibit B4, rather make it B5. That's just, B5 is a summary. It's on page 35. It's a summary of your food service operation, your early childhood operation, and Falcon Care. And like I said, the food service operation is a $3 million operation. A lot of it gets reimbursed. A lot of it is local money. Okay? And like I said, your early childhood and Falcon Care, we found them to be properly administered and would go all good documentation on the children that get dropped off and are enrolled. So, but again, those operations right now are showing a profit. You just have to make sure you keep those solvent and, able to support themselves. So in the end, we end up with this document that contains a lot of financial information about the operation of the district, also information about the town, and we're happy to announce again that the opinion that we gave was unmodified, and there's no recommendations, but that is the result of a hard work of a lot of people who I want to thank publicly, the support staff. They're always very cooperative and very helpful with us in trying to achieve our goal of completing the audit and leaving the building so we can leave them and free up the conference room. So what is required is the board, if you have any questions, I'm here, but also required to pass a resolution accepting the audit. There's no recommendation, so therefore there's no requirement to prepare a corrective action plan. And that's the end of my presentation.
Okay. Yes.
I would just like to thank Mr. Rutsky and the Finance Committee for all their contributions to the internal control systems that we have in place throughout the year. A lot of hard work goes on at the board's committee levels, and finance is no different. And as Mr. Stankiewicz mentioned, we have a team of perfectionists in the business office, led by Laura Allen, who's one of the very finest accountants that I've worked with. So, this result is a dividend paid back to the board for your contributions to the business office staff and all of the hard work through the Finance Committee. Thanks.
Thank you. So, Mr. Rutsky, I believe you have a resolution?
I do, and actually, just before I read that, I'd like to just reiterate, Mr. Gorski is extremely modest, and Mr. Stankiewicz similarly. So while he emphasized that there were no recommendations this year, it's an unmodified report, and that's exceptional in and of itself, but to reiterate, that's the exact same score, what have you, report that we got last year. Was again, no recommendations, no findings of corrective nature. So I just wanted to just put that out there that, yes, our whole team is doing a fantastic job, and I just wanted to say thanks back to them. So with that said, I will now read and put this in. It is recommended that the members of the Monroe Township Board of Education accept and approve the comprehensive annual financial report and the auditor's management report on administrative findings, financial, compliance, and performance, and hereby approve and authorize the submission of the required corrective action plan, also known as the CAP, to the county office indicating that there are no recommendations for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pelori, Mr. Ryback, are there any comments or questions for the auditor?
Just a
Mr.
quick,
Pelori?
just a quick question. I don't know how many school districts that you audit, but I'm just curious to know, do you actually find a lot of issues with other school boards compared to what you're seeing in Monroe, or?
The districts that I personally am responsible for, I have very few problems. Today, in this day and age, with all the software and all the training that's out there, there should be very few problems. Not to say there aren't. There are some districts who, their business administration, they're kind of overwhelmed, okay, and can't really handle the load, and things slip through. I don't have that in districts I work in. I know my partners work in some more urban places where it's crazy, and they have a lot of problems. I don't on the districts I work on, and I just, I'm happy about that. But that could change sometimes if you have personnel turnover, okay? That could happen. Any district can go sour real quick if the personnel aren't proper and trained. And that's one thing that I think this board needs to always be aware of, is there needs to be, and I think there is, thoughts about transition, okay? This is a big district. In some departments, it's heavy lifting, and you need to be concerned with that. Not with anyone here presently, but yeah, it could change real quick in a district if the person you pick in these key spots turns out not to be the right person or at the same level as the person who they're replacing. So yeah, I mean, we're happy, we're good right now, we're good. And I think that's a tribute to the board actually giving the administration over the years here the ability to develop the human, I call it the human infrastructure within the business office, so.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll have a roll call. Mr. Gorski?
Mr. Ryback?
Yes.
Mr. Tefano?
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky?
Yes.
Mr. Pelori?
Yes.
Mrs. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mrs. Arminio?
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo?
Yes.
And Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Madam Board President, motion passes unanimously. And I would just like to announce that I will post tomorrow the PDF version of the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, which, as Mr. Stankwitz says, has a plethora of statistical and demographic information about the school district. You could really learn a lot about trends in enrollment and ratables and borrowing capacity and outstanding debt from this report. And also the auditor's management report will be posted as well.
Actually, Mike, bring that up, the statistical information for this town is quite interesting. There's a 10-year history in the J section. It's it's interesting reading if you're deeply interested in the town, and you'll see the growth, you'll see the student enrollment, you'll see the spending patterns. Yeah, it's there. There's a lot to read.
Interesting is not the word I would use, but
It depends on who you are.
Depends, right, you know.
Right.
Depends on your level for pleasure, you know.
challenge.
Yes. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Stankwitz,
much.
for
Thank you,
your
and
help.
have a nice holiday, everyone. And
You too.
I appreciate your support over the years, and again, we're happy to be here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, then on the agenda, we'll go to number 8, committee reports. Are there any committees that need to report this evening? Mr. Ryback?
I'll start with New Jersey school boards.
Okay.
Something I'd just like to, I wrote that I'd like to read and share with the board. This past September 14th, Patty Lang and I addressed the Legislative Finance Committee of New Jersey School Boards in Trenton. I know we mentioned that, but it's something new that came up. At that meeting, we discussed at great length how the current funding formula calculates the wealth of our community without taking into full consideration the size of our senior population living on fixed incomes, as well as the number of seniors in 55-plus communities. We also addressed the fact that the current funding formula does not take rapid student growth into account. A recent article by New Jersey school boards, noted that with the endorsement of the Delegate Assembly, the School Finance Committee has begun a study of the community wealth calculation under CIFRA funding formula. It's our feeling that the resolution concerning the state aid formula passed by this Board of Education on September 4th, along with our lengthy discussion with the Finance Committee of New Jersey School Board, prompted this action. When we left that day, we didn't think that we got the first base. Obviously, we did. And really, we're very appreciative of the Legislative Committee of New Jersey School Board. They obviously heard, I know a lot of those districts are feeling the pain also. So maybe we'll be able to start the ball rolling and improve that funding formula.
Thank you, Mr. Ryback.
I have a bunch.
I know. I know. I thank you for that.
Today I'm making up for lost time.
Yeah.
Also, with the Jersey school boards, they last Saturday we had a meeting there in Trenton, and they gave us their legislative advocacy plan. I'd just like to share some of the funding areas. Then they're going to advocate for every one of these. Advocate for amendments to the school funding formula that advance New Jersey School Board Association policy on school finance. Advocate for full funding of the state school finance formula to meet the needs of all students in a manner that is consistent, equitable, reliable, and sustainable. Educate state and federal legislators and the public on the need for full funding of all state aid federally mandated programs. engage in concerted efforts to reform the methodology for funding state aid for school construction, oppose the use of public funds for non-public schools, actively seek direct state funding for charter school operations so as to not diminish the resources available to the regular public schools in the same district, oppose any reduction in school aid figures after the Commissioner of Education notifies school districts of their state aid entitlements immediately following the governor's budget address. I know that one in particular is very frustrating to us. So those are some of the areas that they want to advocate for. And finally, I know Mr. Tufano unfortunately couldn't make the Buildings and Grounds meeting. He asked me to read the notes. So with your permission, Mr. Tufano. Thank you. Procedures for school busing exiting school sites. Administration confirmed that there is no policy or endorsed procedure in place whereby school buses stop traffic in the streets in front of the school to allow a procession of buses to exit. All parties recognize that this is likely being done to keep with schedules. However, it is not endorsed by the board or administration. Administration will monitor this issue with the drivers and, if necessary, investigate options for police intervention to assist with buses exiting onto roadways. Next topic is speed bumps or speed control options for high school site. Administration noted that the recent accident whereby a student was struck by a bus was an anomaly, and that they do not feel that adding speed bumps or rumble strips or other speed control options to the high school site would help to eliminate a future occurrence. The committee requested administration explore an educational component, possibly tied to issuance of high school parking passes, to educate student drivers on safety matters on school parking lots, as well as possibly educating the entire student body on being safe and aware of pedestrians in traversing school parking lots. Oak Tree School Library renovation update. Administration provided schematic design plans showing creation of a general educational instructional classroom within the existing library and within the existing rear stage. Administration developed and reviewed 9 options of various classroom configurations and settled on 2 being presented tonight. The committee supports proceeding to develop these projects with submissions to NJDOE and further develop construction plans. Administration notes that they plan to perform the general construction of these classrooms with in-district maintenance staff and will possibly contract out for mechanical and electrical work. The committee supports a resolution for submitting a classroom stopgap project to NJDOE for project development. MTHS trailer project for 2020. Administration provided a site plan view showing the proposed 4-classroom trailer installation at the rear of the high school adjacent to the gymnasium, along with a floor plan schematic for 4 general instruction classrooms. The committee requests that administration attempt to come up with an order of magnitude cost for 4 classroom modular construction addition to the high school. The committee supports a resolution for submitting a trailer project to NJDOE for project development. And finally, security vestibule projects change orders. Administration provided an overview of extra costs incurred totaling $22,691.87. to address existing structural support deficiencies at Barclay Brook School, and existing buried concrete, and the need for a new concrete ADA access ramp and handrail at Applegarth School. The committee will recommend issuing change order number 1 to the contract between the Monroe Township Board of Education and J&M Quality Contracting, LLC, for the aforementioned extra work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Ryback? Mr. Rutsky?
So the concept of the 4 extra classrooms to the back of the high school via trailer or modular, I guess my question would be, is that enough to make a difference, 4 classrooms, or should it be something, is that all we can afford, or is that all we could fit, or is, I mean, I'm just curious as to what type of benefit that's going to be. either to Steve or to Mike or to Dory.
Either one of us can answer the question. Doctor, you want to start?
Yeah. Working with the high school administration, that it was determined that that would definitely alleviate some of the pressures that we have in our classrooms. Working with Mr. Tague, if we go bigger than that, bigger than 5,000 square feet, we have to start adding in drainage basins, which would increase the cost. So that I know that was a consideration, but we worked very closely with the high school administration, and they said that this would be a good.
So this keeps it simpler, so to speak.
Yes.
But it certainly does not solve the
No,
problem.
it does not solve the problem.
Okay.
No, it's a temporary measure. It's only approved on a temporary basis from the Department of Education. Mr. Tague is going to present to the Building Grounds Transportation Committee options for contracts with the trailers once we receive them. The board can choose a 3-year lease or a 5-year lease, the 3-year lease being more expensive but less permanent, which could give options in the future if another plan exists. And certainly, this was not a financial decision limiting it to only 4 trailers because it was a board budget philosophy priority. And if the principals and the administration at the school level felt that there was a need for more, there would be more.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that?
Yes.
Excellent. And then I was wondering, as we add these trailers, like what we have at the middle school, and whatever our magic number of unhoused students are, is that then reduced because of the trailers, or they don't count as? Because they're temporary. I was curious.
It does, but they are temporary, so it's not a permanent solution. But for the years that we have them, it does decrease the number of unhoused students.
Okay.
But in our long-range facilities plan, we have to have a permanent plan.
Gotcha.
If I may expand on that, actually, the 5,000 square feet is a NJDEP requirement that when you go beyond that with an impervious area, then you have to provide a detention and a drainage basins, which would require more space to provide that. So we want to stay within that.
Okay. Any other committees? Ms. DeMayo.
The curriculum committee met tonight at 6. We had 2 items on the agenda, a textbook adoption, dynamics of trigonometry, and the curriculum document, honors calculus. Both were presented by Sue Gasco, the supervisor of mathematics in the district. The honors calculus curriculum document, New Jersey 2016 students' learning standards were taken into consideration, cross-curricular standards in science, language, arts, technology standards, 21st century life, and skills and differential instruction to meet the needs of our students. The concepts that include all concepts are taught with solutions to be understood through analytical, numerical, and graphical approaches using differentiated methods for deeper understanding. This course is designed for students to get a fundamental understanding of the concepts of calculus without the intensity and rigor of AP Calculus. There is an emphasis on collaborative group work and activities. Technology links to specific activities. Lessons include the use of Desmos, graphing calculators, and Khan Academy. And the textbook adoption was Dynamics of Trigonometry. This text has been specifically designed to further the mathematical background in preparation for college-bearing courses in college for students that have completed Algebra 2 but are not quite mathematically ready for a course in pre-calc. The Pearson Algebra and Trigonometry for College Readiness is the only text that has been identified to meet the needs of students who struggle with mathematical concepts in a course post-Algebra 2. The emphasis is on problem-solving strategies, variety question levels to meet the needs of differentiation, current real-world context, chapter openers, learning objectives, extension of Algebra 2 concepts, and in-depth lesson of trigonometry concepts.
Thank you. Any math questions for Ms. DeMayo?
I will defer to Ms. Gasco because she is the expert.
Okay. Any other? Mrs. Siegel?
I have a policy report that Mrs. Lang has written and put together, so I will read that on her behalf. The policy committee was updated on the goals we set in January. First, it's important to note that our policy committee completed more work this year than it has in some time. We closed the year having finished both the most recent policy alert and the previous alert. We have almost completed reviewing, reaffirming, and updating our entire manual. We have identified and addressed policies that had gotten lost in the shuffle. I am hopeful that whomever steps up as chair next year will be able to utilize the information I have compiled and given to Mary Smith and Dr. Alvick to finish the job of reaffirming policies and correcting manual formatting issues. The other goal that we had set in January was to have a comprehensive tobacco and vaping policy. We accomplished that goal. Putting our students' needs first has been the overriding focus of our committee, and I'm proud to say we did. I would like to once again thank our administrators, the members of the policy committee, board members who have served as alternates in the committee, and board members who have voted to accept committee recommendations for all the hard work and support. Regarding policy 9160, which was sent back to committee for discussion over whether the policy should state that attendance to school-sponsored events will be free for seniors over 60. It is a recommendation that the policy state that the attendance fee for seniors over 60 may be free or offered at a reduced rate. Many factors were included in this discussion, including and not limited to the following: limited seat availability at many events. For example, parents, students, and community members from both teams were turned away at this year's homecoming game. The need for the revenue from ticket sales to help to cover a small portion of the cost to run the event. Number 3, the very small number of school-sponsored events that charge an admittance fee. 4, the burden this policy would place on school groups who are running events as fundraisers and who are not compelled to abide by this policy. 5, the approved fee list already outlines a reduced admittance fee, which for most events is $3, and that if a senior really cannot afford to attend an event, the superintendent's office will provide individual tickets. And finally, the administration is meeting with representatives of the senior community to discuss opportunities for the seniors to participate in special events and programs with the school district. One suggestion that our committee discussed was the school district hosting special daytime presentation of school plays specifically for seniors. And that's it.
Thank you. Any other committees?
Madam President, I don't have a report for Education Advocacy Committee, but I do want to share with that I attended on November 23rd, New Jersey School Board Association, where a discussion was held. A vote was taken by the Hillsborough Township, and they made a proposal to the school board requesting raising the cap of 2%, only for those schools that are impacted by S2. I believe the Senate President was in attendance at the meeting, and he supported that. From what I heard in the last week or so, that has moved through the legislation, and right now it is sitting on the governor's desk, which I suspect will be vetoed. Quite honestly, it doesn't really apply to Monroe Township. So this is only for those that are impacted by S2, who are losing funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Masters?
Last but not least. So last night, we had the final ad hoc committee meeting. So obviously, after much collaboration discussion on the feedback, the committee has come to a consensus on a recommendation. The committee decided it would be more proper to present it at the full January meeting when the new board has been seated, so we don't have to reiterate, do it twice. I can give you a little teaser of what was decided, but again, I'll have a full presentation for the January meeting. The committee is representing a two-grade intermediate school construction. What 2 grades is still, again, up for the board. And also a extension onto the high school, but not, the committee wants to know not the extension like we talked about last year. We threw around some numbers, but I think at this point it would be detrimental to discuss things like that. That would be more for the board and the administration. So I'll take any questions, but I just wanted to thank the committee, the subject matter experts, everybody that's come out, and the public for all the great feedback that we had, for all the hard work that was done. And again, I'm very grateful to be part of this. Thank you.
You know, the committee did an excellent job and worked really well together, asked wonderful questions, got the answers they needed, and I look forward to hearing the report in January. So thank you for chairing this. Any other committees?
Madam President, if I may ask Mr. Masters a question. First, I want to thank Lou for leading the ad hoc committee, and I see in the audience Sarah Aziz is here, who was part of the ad hoc committee. But my question really is, in terms of the time frame, what is the moving forward time frame in terms of concluding the ad hoc committee recommendations? What are the next steps?
So, yeah, the ad hoc, we decided last night, the committee asked that question, is done, is officially done. We are concluded. Again, we made a decision last night, a unanimous decision. Now, we don't vote, but we made a unanimous, basically a straw man vote. And we have completed the recommendation. The recommendation is done. As I said, unofficially is what I said, but we'll create an official memorialization of what the committee was recommending for the January full meeting, not the reorg.
No, I appreciate that. I think it makes a lot of sense not to repeat it, especially right now with one member missing as well. My concern, Madam President, is the fact that if a recommendation comes in, we look at it, and by the time it gets onto the referendum, the earliest could be potentially November.
And I'm sorry.
Really? But my question really is that if the recommendation comes in next month, the earliest it could go for a referendum for vote is approximately how much time? What time frame? 6 months?
When we get the recommendation, it has to go to the administration. They have to go through, Mike, maybe you can explain the whole process of going through the architects and getting the schematics and getting the cost and getting the approvals from the DEP and everything before it can be a referendum.
Sure. These recommendations coming out of the committee, I understand, are new designs. So we're not going to represent something where we already have the schematics and have presented it already to the Department of Education. So generally, there's about an 18-month lag time for the development of the schematics and the design and everything else before the actual election comes.
18 months?
Generally speaking. Obviously, it's a district priority, so it'll be expedited, but it depends upon how long the committee takes with it and ultimately administration's recommendation to the board for the final project.
I'm looking at a construction of 3 years and design of maybe a year and a half or so. But if you're doing that level of detail upfront at 18 months, that includes the design, I assume?
Yes.
But design is schematic. It's not a construction plan that you're going to hand over to a contractor to build, correct?
Correct. It's design, it's approvals by the Department of Education on a systematic basis.
So 18 months plus maybe another year and a half, which is another 18 months, and then 3 years of construction. We're looking at almost 6 years.
No, 18 months and about another 2 years after that for construction, bidding, and everything else.
And the construction itself is 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah, so total right now, you're looking at about somewhere around 2 to 3 years before the school is completed.
2026?
Very premature to talk about because
that's like 7 years.
I'll be honest with you. That's what
project
scares me, to think that we're that far out. And I think they got to be, I'm not saying that we don't have it. I understand that we have a sense of urgency, but we got to move this train a little faster than it's going right now. Whatever it takes, we got to move faster. That's all I have.
Okay. Any other committee reports? Then we will go to public forum. Anyone from the public wishing to speak to the agenda, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. We will adhere to our 4-minute timeline. You can only come up once, and when the timer goes off, your time is up.
Thank you. Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. Again, I look at the enrollment. In last 4 years, we have added only 417 students. So again, we are looking at projections of 1,500 students in next 5 years. So I repeated that. So I know that our demographer is talking to township, and we will have new projections next month. That's what I heard. So we're looking forward for the new projections for 5 years. Now I heard the attorney coming in and talking about the suing the state. It's very disappointing summary. Because no doubt we are adequate. We are trying to make best our school system to be adequate. That is known. So we cannot sue because we are not adequate. So that is not a new thing. But saying that we are favored because of S2, I don't want to call a word here which is disappointing. Because S2 is going to pay us what we were supposed to get, $8 million per year in phase of 4 or 5 years. We are not favored with S2. I challenge the law which has been passed by the state, and they didn't pay us. From 2008, we are supposed to get around $7 to $8 million per year, and we got less money in last 10 years. So no favor has been done by the state to us. Okay, we have to challenge the state, and I don't agree with that, whatever the recommendations have come. They are in favor of the laws. So we are challenging the bills they have passed. So next thing is, again, I was at ad hoc committee. I thank Dr. Alvich and the team visiting East Brunswick School and getting the facts, the impact of moving the 9th grade out. Actually, East Brunswick, we came to know, wants to in their 5-year strategic plan, they want to integrate 9th grade back into the high school because the children are maturing at 10th grade rather than at 9th grade. So many good impact analysis was done, so I'm very happy. The conclusion is that we will keep the 9th grade here, and we will have intermediate school for 5th and 6th grade for 1,500 students. That's good, and we will have expansions of the high school for the classrooms. That is good. So I'm really happy that we will have good conclusions coming forward and move forward. And I agree that we cannot wait for 18 months and all. We are looking for the package to be in for the next referendum by third quarter next year. We have to work hard so that we should have a referendum by third quarter next year. That is the request. And also modern, modular, permanent structures. We have to look at it. Modern, modular, permanent structures. So I have written also Mr. Take should visit Edison School where the modular constructions have been put. And we can do better than them, okay? If there are some deficiencies, we can do that. So we should request that. And the trailers, 4 trailers, we are going to put temporary trailers. I don't know how much money we are going to put in it. Edison did not go into the trailers. They put permanent modular structures instead of temporary trailers. We have been talking about this for the last 6 months, and again we go with the same thing, 4 trailers. So I'm not happy with that. So those are my comments. So one question is, what will be the cost for the 4 trailers we are putting in? So that's my simple question.
The committee has yet decided whether it's going to be a 3-year lease or a 5-year lease. But the cost, just for general budget projections at this point, is somewhere around $450,000 for 4 trailers. But it's important to know that the need for the trailers is for next school year. And $450,000 can fit in the school district operating budget, although it will supplant existing programs and services as we are at cap. A permanent structure is a little more involved and much more costly. Just in general discussions with Mr. Tague, that could run a couple or a few $1 million. You're exceeding now what can be accommodated in a school district budget, especially with growing staff and curriculum needs and transportation needs. So that's the struggle. Plus, the permanent structure could never be accomplished by next year, which was the request of the principals and school-based administration.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak to the agenda?
Good evening, Ram Rangnath, 6 Owens Drive. Just looking around, the room became empty.
It's the holiday season, everybody has to go shopping.
I know, but about an hour back it was not. Right? So I just had a thought, right? This was a good celebratory event. Maybe we should consider having, I don't know, like an evening event where we combine a lot of these celebrations, have our orchestra perform. This could be I don't know how many parents are able to come back early from work, So I see we try to do a bit of this at different BOE meetings. Maybe if we put it together, it may be a nice celebratory event, right? These kids have done a lot, they've earned it. and it's a proud thing for the township. So I would just consider that. Just thought came seeing that. A couple of things. Again, the ad hoc committee, thanks to Lou and all the members and the public, right, for the effort put in. And really thank Dr. Alwick, right? She heard the public's concern with removing 9th grade, did the research with East Brunswick, I guess Old Bridge as well. And I'm appreciative that the committee came to that recommendation to really keep that whole. I think that's a very important decision, and we are very thankful for that. But listening to Mr. Paluri's comments, very good comments, right? What are we talking about, 2026, 18 months, plus another 3 years? That is not good. That's going to be very detrimental for our kids. And also Mr. Rutsky's questions on the trailers. Again, I appreciate his line of thinking there, right? Again, this $450K annually eating into our OPEX budget. I know we have big things there like the Apple Garth renovation, blah, 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 right? And so we have to think really, as Prakash was saying, right? Let's consider this modular construction. Edison has done it. They spent $2 million, they have 10 classrooms. So we need 20 classrooms, okay, it's $4 million. Let's make it $10 million. Why don't we push for a referendum focused on that for March? I'm really scared that if we move beyond November to next year, November is the elections and stuff, people are not going to be focused on all this. We should do our best to see what we can do for March. Let's at least address the high school problem. And what Edison did, again, I don't have all the facts, but I thought they started in spring and summer, and then in September they were ready, right? They're not painted and all that, but they had those classrooms ready for the students to use. So I'll really urge the Board of Education to take the modular construction seriously. Let's at least maybe come up with a proposal to address the high school issue, get one thing off our plate, while we as a community, we all work together to see how to fund the intermediate school and other things. So really urge people to look at that. The other thing I also urge is to see, can we get some private funding? I don't know, we can call it the Johnson & Johnson High School Extension Wing or whatever it is, right? So I don't know what exists, but how do we explore some of that, right? To get some sponsorship from the private sector to address our issues. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, we will close the public forum, and we will go to the Assistant Superintendent's report. Dr. Lehman?
So I'd like to start by wishing everyone a healthy and happy new year. We, I think, had our first taste of a little snowstorm today. It was a couple minutes long, but I think it was a taste of what's to come. The weather really changed in the past few days. Went from rain to snow, I think it felt like in a matter of minutes. As you saw tonight, we had a ton of students here, and it was outstanding to see them in the room. We had our Monroe Township School District Winter Concert Series continuing tonight. In the Performing Arts Center, we had our high school winter chorus concert. I wasn't sure of the timing of my report. I was going to invite everyone to, on their way out, stop down there and see the concert, but I think it's well over by now. Tomorrow night, the middle school band is performing at the Monroe Township Middle School PAC. After break through mid-January, we're going to have the Woodland School Winter Concert, the Middle School Jazz and Percussion Concert, the Middle School Chorus Concert, and the High School Winter Band Concert. Please come and join us for our performing arts programs. They're truly exceptional, and each one of those events is a can't-miss event. Last Wednesday, we had our ESL bilingual night here at the high school. So all parents, guardians, and students of students in the ESL program were invited by Dr. Roselle and the ESL teachers. They hosted a tremendous night. We had about 50 adults, over 20 students in attendance. There was pizza, there were snacks. That always brings people out. It's great to see everyone come out. Dr. Roselle provided information about literacy. She had a book giveaway. The Monroe Township Public Library was here. They presented on their ESL resources. They also provided library cards on site, so they could parents could sign up and walk away with a library card. The library card is a gateway to a lot of the resources in the township, so the things they saw, they could take the library card and go home and then just get right to work. The MTEA supported the event through the FAST grant that allowed the snacks and the pizza and all the goodies, as well as additional books. They're going to highlight that in the future, one of their Pride presentations, so we're excited to see some photos, maybe see some of the students that participated in the event. One of the highlights for me, though, was seeing all the parents and guardians after the presentations, we had all the books set up front here, and they went up with their children, and they were picking books. They were flipping through them, and they got to go home with several books, 2, 3, 4 books for each family. So it was awesome to see them, and the excitement around the literature was, just can't be beat. Last week, same night, I also attended TEDx presentations. So the high school put on an event by the Monroe Township High School TEDx Club. The TEDx Club revolves around bringing students together to discuss and celebrate creative ideas. The program supports students in discovering, exploring, presenting their big ideas in the form of a short TED-style talk. So if you've never seen a TED Talk, if you Google it, they're all over YouTube. Basically, it's a dark stage, a spotlight, and one person with minimalist tools, sometimes a PowerPoint, and they basically present creative ideas, kind of abstract thoughts, and they just challenge people to think creatively. And they were tremendous, tremendous presentations. I could only see 2 or 3 of them, but they went on for a couple hours. So it was exciting to see. The pack was dark. There was definitely a bunch of people there, and the students did an amazing job. So next year, I invite everybody, or if they're going to do it in the spring, to come out and enjoy some of those presentations. That's it.
Oh, thank you very much. So we will go to the superintendent's report, Dr. Alvick.
Okay, last Thursday evening, the elementary schools held their second annual Winter Fest for students in our special education programs and Falcon Pals classes. The staff did a superb job of planning activities that were winter-themed, complete with a snowball fight area, paper snowballs, of course. Our unified high school students helped to run the events and were great role models for our younger students. So I want to thank the staff for organizing this event. In working with New Jersey School Boards Association, I'm going to plug this event again, and I'm going to keep doing this because I want as many people as possible to come out for our strategic action plan process. We are going to be starting this in January. January 14th is the first meeting. There will be 3 meetings, one in January, one in February, one in March. The information has been sent out through district newsletters. It's on the district website. It's on all school websites. I shared it with the planned retirement communities. It's gone out through anybody who will post it on a newsletter in their group, in their community. I have given it to them, and I will continue to do that because we would like as many people as possible to come and help us as we plan and look for what do we want to see in our district in the next 5 years. So there is an RSVP. If you're interested, you can go to the link on our website or through any of our flyers. It's just for us to get a count. If you don't RSVP, we're not going to stop you from coming in because we do want people to join, but it's just to kind of get a head count. We do have the personnel agenda this evening, so I would like to congratulate Mrs. Bonnie Brenner on her retirement, which will be effective June 30th. Also under personnel, you're going to see recommendations for 3 administrative positions: a high school assistant principal, a middle school assistant principal, and a supervisor of science and social studies. So with that, Madam President, it's recommended that the board approve the attached personnel items A through AJ by roll call.
So moved.
Mr. Ryback?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mayo? Okay. Any comments or questions for Dr. Alvick? Ms. Arminio?
Yes, Dr. Alva, could you explain, there's a lot of new positions on the certified staff guide, and I'm wondering if those are permanent positions and what they mean.
Okay.
If you can explain that.
I know there's 1 new position for a floater nurse. That is a new position in the district. That is a permanent position. There are several positions listed under the certificated staff for the Winterfest evening that I just mentioned in the report. That is a one-time cost, but we approved the staff members to be paid for that evening. It's the one evening. We also have some that are listed as new positions for concert chaperones. So when we have some of our schools, we have 100 or 150 students in our programs, while the band director or the chorus director are conducting, we have staff members that chaperone the students while they're there. So again, that's a one-time cost.
Okay, so those positions will exist into the future, but only for the one event?
Correct. Yeah, and for every concert and anything like this, we would post separately for that. So it's not the same.
They won't be the same people?
It may not be the same people because it depends on the school. There may be different people. We usually hire the staff from the school for that concert.
Okay. And then I have another question between AD to AG, the salary levels. Now, I asked this in, again, it's not about any one individual, it's about a salary level. Are these salaries dictated by the current contract between that organization?
Yes.
And are they minimum, or have you gone over the minimums?
The only ones that are over the minimum are because they're given credit for the time served.
Okay, otherwise, that we're starting at the
Minimum for that position.
And that's acceptable to these new positions?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Gorski, may we have a roll call?
Personnel action items A through AJ. Mr. Rutsky.
Yes.
Mr. Tefano.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mr. Pelori.
Yes.
Mr. Ryback.
Yes.
Mr. Masters.
Yes.
Mrs. Siegel.
Yes.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Mrs. Cole-Ponowitz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, action items pass unanimously.
Thank you.
So I would like to congratulate our new administrators, Mrs. Danielle Drust, Supervisor for Science and Social Studies, Mr. Michael Collins, Assistant Principal at the high school, and Mrs. Patricia Smith, Assistant Principal at the middle school. We're very excited to have them as part of our administrative team, and I just want to wish everyone a happy and healthy new year and happy holidays. That concludes my report. Oh, wait, no, I forgot. Sorry, nope, it doesn't.
The board action.
That includes the personnel part.
Yes.
For board actions, recommended that the board approve the attached board action items A through R by roll call.
So moved.
Mr. Ryback, Mrs. Siegel, comments or questions? Ms. Arminio?
On F, it's recommended the board approve the following clubs. What is Patriot Warrior Club?
So we discussed it last week. It's another one of the service organizations. The students, they were interested in possibly doing an ROTC kind of piece, and they decided to just name it the Patriot Warrior Club. That way they didn't have to formally associate with another ROTC organization.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, then we'll have a...
I'm sorry, Madam President. The Interact Club, I think I expressed my concern last time about, we have other clubs. I'm not sure the need for this. Since it's already in the agenda, I'm not going to stop it, but I think we need to evaluate that on an annual basis to see the enrollment, interest, and what it's really being used for.
We do that with all of our clubs yearly through the curriculum committee to make sure that what the support of that club is.
Yeah, my concern is it's sort of redundant to the other clubs we have, and I just want to make sure it's not heading in the wrong direction.
Okay. Anyone else?
And I would like to say we typically try to sort of find the donations within all the lists, and so it looks like on letter H, Hope Yoga is donating at no cost to the district some professional development, so I just wanted to recognize that and thank them for that donation.
Thank you.
Steal Jill's thunder.
Yes. Yes.
And this vote includes the policies, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes, except I, excuse me, I abstain on F, and I vote no on O, policy 7441, and P, policy 9160.
Wait a second.
P?
I don't know if you have the most
P741.
updated one.
Oh.
Yeah, P741.
Okay, sorry, got it. I had two, yeah, I got it. P 7441, Q 9160, and I think I'd like to review school district security, so I'm going to add that 7440 to my no.
Okay, so just to be clear, that's a yes on everything, abstain on F, and a no on P, policy 7441, Hugh, policy 9160, and policy 7440.
That is correct, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Siegel.
Yes.
Mr. Tefano.
Yes.
Mr. Ryback.
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky.
Yes.
Mr. Masters.
Yes.
Mr. Pluri.
Yes.
And Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through R has passed.
Thank you.
Now that concludes my report.
Okay, and we will go to the Business Administrator's report, Mr. Gorski.
Madam Board President and members of the Monroe Township Board of Education, it is recommended that board action items A through M be approved by consent roll call.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ryback, Mr. Tefano? Was that, okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Gorski?
Jill, anything? You're good?
I'm good.
Okay, then I'll take this opportunity to look down to letter D and thank Mr. Nikotinsky for his donation of the T-shirts. Very generous of him and his business.
Jill missed that one?
I did miss that one. You're in trouble.
Okay. Anyone else?
Where, just so I'm correct. Okay, I got it.
D.
Okay, we will have a roll call.
Mr. Pluri.
Yes.
Mrs. Siegel.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes, except no on I and no on L. Just to be clear, that L is with the high school temporary classrooms? Okay. there's a
So
no.
noted. Yes on everything, no on I, no on L.
That is correct, thank
Mr.
you.
Ryback.
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky.
Yes.
Mr. Masters.
Yes.
Mr. Tefano.
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through M has passed. That concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Okay, and my report is going to be very short and sweet. Wishing everybody a very happy and joyous holiday with your family, and looking forward to seeing everybody come back in January, ready for a very positive year. So at this time, we'll go to other Board of Education business. Is there any business by any member of the Board of Education?
Since I've been on a roll, may I?
Sure,
Continue?
you might take everybody else's.
I just wanted to apologize for skipping in and out tonight. I was doing dual duty as board member and father because the winter choral concert was going on over in the Performing Arts Center. And so I skipped out. I caught the finale, which was, it's a shame everybody couldn't see it. It was spectacular. They call up past members of chorus, and so there was not an inch of stage left untouched. It was packed. They did a fantastic job. Mrs. Siegel runs a great program, and I was just really proud of all the kids. And so I apologize. I'm back here for the board finale. And again, I thank you for the flexibility to bounce in and out.
Actually, I just thought of it. This is the board finale for this decade.
It is. It is
Yes.
going out.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you.
I just thought of that. I don't know.
Madam
Okay,
President.
thank you. Mr.
First,
Pelori?
happy holidays to everybody, but I'll be remiss if I don't acknowledge the services that I have seen. My fellow board member, Patty Lang, has performed over the past 3 years, and I sat in a couple of policy meetings as a substitute when somebody else could come in, and the work that she does and how diligently she does it, it's really, she needs to be commended for the work she has done. I just want to make a statement on that. The second thing is, I think Mr. Lehman mentioned about the concerts, and I attended my daughter's concert last week, and Mr. Rutsky is talking about his kid's concert today. Is this something that we can extend and offer to the senior citizens to come and attend? Because there's no cost associated with that, and do we do that?
May I?
No, you can.
This is Mr.
So
Retzky's meeting.
the row behind us were 4 people, and so I asked them. We started chatting, and I said, is your son or your daughter participating? And they said, no, we don't have any kids here. We're from Encore, and the kids traveled there and did the concert for them last week, a mini version. So they came here tonight, at least those 4, on their own, and they were having a great time.
That's fantastic.
Excellent.
That's really nice.
So I thank them on many levels, and so they are coming out. I don't,
Well, when we met this summer with the presidents of the HOAs of the planned retirement communities, we offered our students to come and perform for them. And many of the communities have reached out to us, and our flute ensemble have gone and performed, our percussion ensemble have gone and performed in the planned retirement communities. They've invited them to be part of their holiday entertainment for their holiday parties. So we are doing a lot of collaboration with that, which is wonderful.
Excellent. The last point I have is a couple of weeks ago, a bunch of moms from Stratford Development came to us and they requested that their kids do a Monroe Lego Legends is the group of about 7 kids who were in 6th grade. And these kids, Mr. Lehman was talking about the innovation. These 6th grade kids came up with an app that would tell you where you can park the car on a street using sensors. So if you're driving in a car, you want to find a parking spot in, say, Newark on Broad Street, this app would tell you whether the spot's open or not, and if it is, where is it open on this map. They actually sat with the township engineer, and I participated in that. We gave our feedback. They went to regional. They won the regional. Now they're at the state level. So something for us to be proud of.
Nice.
So I just wanted to report that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, when Andy told me about that last week, now I have an app that does that, by the way. So thanks to kids.
Ms. Arminio?
I think they should experiment in our parking lot tonight, especially. It was very difficult to get a parking space, so I think that would be great for them to put it in all of our parking lots. That would be sort of a nice project if we can get them to do that. Since it's a musical theme tonight.
Are you going to sing?
You don't want me to sing, believe me.
Okay.
But I do appreciate the arts, and I appreciate the ability of our students and the way they excel. And I'm proud of the sports kids as well. But again, since it's sort of a musical theme, I did attend the Rossmore community with the percussion, and it was extraordinary. We had the middle school, the high school, and then a combination between the middle school and the high school. And the kids are, I don't know what to say. They're not amateurs. They seem so professional, so focused, so good at it, very disciplined. And I mean, to their credit, to their parents' credit, but also to, of course, the wonderful teachers that we have working with these kids. And I did speak to a couple of the people in Rossmore, and I think it's a very good idea that we sort of showcase our children if they're willing to do it, if they have the time, and go into these communities and show what the cost of education really looks like. And it's a valuable experience, I think, for those in the adult communities, and it's a wonderful experience. I enjoy it because I have no musical talent whatsoever. I don't even sing Happy Birthday at parties because I'm so terrible. But happy holidays, everyone. Thank you all for your camaraderie on this board. I wish the community happy holidays and a good new year, and we'll start the ball rolling in January. Thank you.
Mrs. Siegel?
I just wanted to piggyback to Mr. Pelori and thank Mrs. Lang for her dedication, but I also, as a new board member, she's been a tremendous mentor to me, guiding me through the processes, teaching me everything she can about policy, procedure, and how Board of Ed works. So I really want to thank her for taking me under her wing and showing me the ropes.
Thank you. Mr. Ryback?
Well, first, allow me to wish everybody a happy new year and good holiday. I'm looking forward to this coming year as a new board, and hopefully we'll move on to new and wonderful things and have a lot of success for our district. I also would like to shout out to Patty Lang, her work not only on this board and policies that we've mentioned here, but her work in the Delegate Assembly of New Jersey School Board has really been something to admire, and as I said before, perhaps is going to help us move on and to improve the funding formula, which we all need. Finally, I would just like to, Dr. Alvik, I'd like to compliment you and thank Mrs. Kalpanowicz and Mr. Gorski this morning joined me in addressing all the HOA executives, presidents, We want to create more of a partnership with our senior citizens and have them involved in this school system. It's real important for them to know what's going on, not just listen to people and get misinformation, but see for themselves. And Dr. Alvick really reached out and offered them monthly programs and also to bring the schools to their developments, which I think they all liked. And it was received very well, and I'm very optimistic, and it's a great first step, so I'd like to thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
My turn.
Mr. Masters.
Again, a happy holidays to everybody, and again, a healthy new year. I think sometimes we overlook that, our health sometimes. Again, I'll piggyback on Patty. I like policy, but Patty loves policy, and I think you can kind of see that, how much she's done with that over the years, so great job. Hour of Code. I attended Hour of Code last week, Mr. Gleason's Hour of Code. Packed Oak Tree Library. There was actually tickets. They weren't turning anybody away. I didn't touch anything because I do that every day, and I'm not going to do that in my free time at night. But a lot of kids really loving it. I know we've talked a lot about how that really does help kids. It helps them form minds and thinkings and all kinds of great stuff like that. But Mr. Gleason, kudos to him, and he, even though it was Minecraft and Roblox, that stuff, which is wonderful, but the kids love it. Special needs kids, again, as a parent of a special needs child, music is wonderful. To see my son, and again, I just want to kudos to all when the music teachers come in, how the music helps him in a daily basis, and how he loves to play it, and how he helps him express himself. It's just a great program that we have here, and it's nice to see that. And last but not least, I've been through audits, Mike, financial audits. We don't have, or at least where I am, we do have matters requiring attention. I've never heard of somebody get one that had no action. So again, great job to you and your business office. I know how nasty and difficult they could be and how much data they ask for. And again, to hear that, once again, there's no matters requiring attention, that's what we call it. Great job. Again, pass that along to the office, the entire office. And thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I just want to add a couple words about Patty, because she did love policy. And she took that policy book and she could memorize it from the beginning to the end. But she also loved and believed in professional development for the Board of Education and for her personally, and I think that helped to make her an excellent board member. And lastly, with Patty, special education was always in her heart. She will always be an advocate for special ed. And I don't think the board or the district or even the community will know how much that she and her expertise will be missed. And I also would like to thank Lou, because you came in here in a difficult situation, and you become one of our board members, and you've accomplished a lot in your short tenure here. And I appreciate the time that you have spent, especially as the ad hoc chair. So
thank you very much.
I know you're going to be around for a while, because we see your kids wherever there's a school, there's a master's there. So thank you very much, Lou.
Thank you.
So at this time, we'll go to public forum. Anyone wishing to speak to the board, please come to the microphone and name and address for the record.
Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. This is not new. You know, our state budget is $35 billion. And the money the state gives to the schools is $15 billion, somewhere in that range. And what we receive, I understand, is this year around $5.5 million from the state. This is nothing, negligible. And you know, I know we are going to try to change the funding formula. That is a big battle, hitting a head against a wall. So we have to look at low-hanging fruits. I know, I appreciate what you are doing. The funding formula has flaws, and our legislatures are not going to change it. So whatever, anyway, thank you, Steve, what you're doing. You know, we have to look at the opportunities at low-hanging fruits, and we have to make sure that those legislations are going through. Some of the Abbott districts are under capacity, and they were getting about $700 to $800 million. You know, my figure may be exaggerated, at least $450 million. And then they were audited, and the auditors saw that they were under capacity. Those who they are consolidating. So I appreciate that we had a very good financial audit, and it went through very well. I hope the state comes and looks at how our middle school is crowded, how our high school kids are getting crowded, how they have to 4 classes in this auditorium, what we are going through. And referendum we put forward, they are not getting through. So let the public know students are important. You have to pay for the education. So I request who all are listening here, next referendum, please vote yes. We'll try our best. Our ad hoc committee and BOE will put a good referendum. We have realized the cost is important. We'll be mean and lean, and we'll put a good referendum. Integrated middle school, expansion of high school. So integrated middle school, it will leave the pressure on the middle school because the 6th grades are going down. We are forming 5th and 6th grade intermediate school, and the 5th grade is going to go up, so it will reduce the pressure on the elementary school. And we have to expand the high school. So I think we'll have a good referendum coming up, and hope we'll have it by, as Ram said, there may be opportunity that we may expansion of the classes will be less. We can have earlier referendum, but we know always we hear that it is better to put the package together so that we get it voting from everyone and goes through. So hope that is how happens. So again, I wish everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and happy holidays. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chrissy Skirby, 21 Preakness Drive. I attended the ad hoc committee meeting last night, and I just wanted to say thank you very much to Dr. Higgins, Dr. Lehman, and Dr. Alvick. There was a lot of discussion on social media and around town about the 9th grade and the effects of taking it out, and I really appreciate, and I know everybody that was concerned about the 9th grade moving out appreciates the work that was done and the presentations that were given last night to explain why it was not a good idea to take the 9th grade out. I think that was very important. I don't understand why we did not make the recommendation tonight. We are behind the 8 ball already. We need to get moving on this quickly. There's a recommendation from the ad hoc committee. It should have been presented this evening. It wasn't voted on by the committee to wait. It was decided by Mr. Masters to wait, and it's just wasting time that we don't have. And just to bring up, the recommendation is for an intermediate school, and it was looking into a modular addition here at the high school. And if you go back years, an intermediate school was recommended by the first ad hoc committee probably 6-8 years ago. Then the Student Advisory Committee recommended intermediate school. Now you have yet another ad hoc committee going to come before this board and make a recommendation for an intermediate school. The last 2 recommendations were ignored. I hope this board will really take a look at the intermediate option because it's been ignored. The last 2 community groups, community committees that put it forward, and now it's coming a 3rd time. So I hope this board will really take a look at that option and take it seriously. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing no one, we will close the public forum. A closed session resolution, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves to go into closed session in accordance with the Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10:4-6 through 10:4-21 to discuss the following subjects: harassment, intimidation, bullying, Following closed session, action may be taken. The discussion conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. I need a motion.
Motion.
Mr. Rutsky, Mr. Tefano, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? And then the board will go into closed session, shouldn't take much more than 15 minutes. Okay, at this time, the Board of Education will go back into public session. I don't know if there's anybody that wants to speak about closed session. If there is, please let me know. Okay, seeing none, our next scheduled Board of Education meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 2nd, 2020, 7 o'clock p.m. at the high school, which is our reorganization meeting. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Everybody wants to adjourn. Mr. Polari, Mr. Tefano, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned, and everybody have a wonderful, safe holiday.
Take note.